there are people who have been like touched up by Photoshop.
Absolutely.
Like
there's so many people who are just not what they look like online. And it shifts beauty standards for
like, girl, we saw
everybody.
the curve in the fence. We saw the curve in the fence on your Instagram post.
Hi everyone, it's V. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Ask V That, a space where we can talk all about taboo topics affecting trans women of color and queer youth today. Thank you so much for the support so far and giving me the chance to even have this space. Make sure to go find this show on all streaming platforms and give me a rate and review. It really helps. And to keep this safe space for queer people of color like myself. Now, today's topic is body shaming, and I thought for the perfect person to bring in today would be Spencer.
Hi, everyone. Hey.
How have you been?
I'm good. It's weird being on this side.
I know.
The guest cam.
Last time I was the guest. And
yeah. Oh, how the tables have turned.
Right. But I do want to say thank you, not to be all cheesy, but you're the reason I was able to even meet Brat and have like a podcast in general, so thank you.
No, thank you. It was so nice having you on the show. And I'm glad you finally have one.
Right.
Because I remember you were calling me after and I was like, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
no.
have a podcast. Have a podcast.
I might have broke NDA. I was like, you can't tell nobody. But I immediately called Spencer and I was like, what do I say? What do I do? Do you think this is good?
I said yes, and yes.
I mean, obviously, it's a full circle moment.
And now we're here.
Right. Just a trigger warning, we're going to be discussing EDs and a lot of topics around body image. So if that triggers you, viewer discretion and listening is advised. But let's get into it. I believe the last time I saw you was Subculture.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we did go to Subculture. What did I do that night? I know I was there, and then, oh my gosh, when I was at Subculture, this goes nowhere, I did put my finger in a guy's mouth. No, like, wait, like it sounds bad, but it's not. Like,
are you sure?
No, because like he
was here?
Okay, so he was at the bar with me, but he was also like not in my friend group. It was like our friend group, and then there was another friend group from, I think it was Kenzie.
Yeah.
Kenzie's friend group was also there, and we kind of like all like meshed together. And while I was at the bar, he like turned, and he's taller than me, so he accidentally shoved his finger in my mouth. I literally was opening my mouth to take a sip of my drink, and he like turned, and somehow his finger went in my mouth, and he was like, "I'm so sorry." And I was like, "No, you're not. You want to know how it feels?" And then I shoved my finger in his mouth.
Oh my.
Sorry.
So all that happened right before I was leading up to seeing you.
Yeah, hey.
That would explain a lot. You seemed
a
little confuzzled. I was like...
Yeah, I was like everywhere that night.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Subculture.
It's Subculture. Subculture is like a rave.
Oh, did you know Sophia is DJing?
Really?
Yeah, she's DJing on Saturday. We have a friend, Sophia.
Shout out DJing. If anybody wants to come on, May 20th. I was going to DJ for May 20th.
Really?
Yeah, because I heard your friends... Emmy.
Yeah.
I heard that you guys all went together on stage.
Emmy DJ'd and we all went on stage and like we were like doing cartwheels and dancing.
That's what I want to do with our friends.
It's so fun. And like everyone in the crowd is so chill.
Yeah.
And I mean like even if I guess like the sound were to like be off or like something were to go wrong, no one would be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like it's just like good vibes all around. It's a lot of fun. They even like sell food in there.
Yeah. No, I heard that a lot of people like that are DJing don't even DJ. Like they just make playlists.
Yeah, they basically will like make a mix before they go on.
Okay, yeah.
And they just play the mix.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times they'll mix it on their own. And then I think they either like plug the the system into their phone, like there's a USB port, and then they just play it off their phone, but it's like really cool.
Yeah, I have to ask my friends all about what's the hyperpop music that I should be playing.
Oh, as Subculture.
Yeah, are you a hyperpop person?
No, I mean like I enjoy listening to it when I'm like at Subculture or even like Heaven, which again is another club. Heaven is great. Have you been to Heaven? Heaven is really cool.
I have to go.
But I enjoy listening to it and dancing to it, but in my day-to-day, no, I don't really listen.
Yeah, I don't either, but my trans friends play it all the time because most of the time hyperpop is like a lot of trans girls who sing it, like Aisha Erotica.
Okay, then yeah.
Chase Icon.
I love Aisha.
Yeah, Aisha is one of my faves.
Yeah.
Like confidence music for sure.
Yeah, I definitely like her music. But what I'll listen to mainly for like music wise is typically I have a playlist on my phone and it's called Making an Entrance, and that's what I listen to at the gym and when I shower and before I go out because it just makes me feel better.
Oh, good.
I'm just like, I feel like I'm in an edit, a velocity edit.
As you should.
Thank you.
For me, I've been Beyonce's Renaissance is what I'm getting prepared for because I got tickets for the tour.
Shut up, you're so lucky.
Yeah. But it's all the way in Seattle. And I thought I would go with my family because like my mom's a huge Beyonce stan and it's like the way we grew up and bonded over music. So, you know, we go to every Beyonce concert.
I've never been to a Beyonce concert.
You haven't?
No, it's sick and twisted and ill and deranged.
I don't even care how much the tickets are. You got to get some.
Yeah, like literally I would like me not paying my rent.
I'll go with you because it's like an experience. Also, have you seen all the clips on your For You
have.
page?
Didn't they have, oh my gosh, Balenciaga?
Yes.
Came out and was voguing on stage. I was like, there's no way.
Another one of my sisters.
Let them know.
Amazing. I don't know. It's just like great that they're getting the opportunity. It's kind of like,
especially like showcase with Beyonce, who's one, like not even one of the, like the top of the top of the top.
She's a vocalist of our generation.
Oh, she is amazing.
Yeah. And also like, it gives me the vibes of kind of is it 80s or 90s? I believe it's 80s when Madonna was doing Vogue and kind of like ballroom culture was becoming part of main media again. I don't know. I feel like house music in general is becoming more popular, which is great representation for the queer community.
Yeah.
But it's also very interesting to see it come from like people that aren't queer at all. Like Drake. Did you see that Drake dropped a whole album and it was all house music?
No.
And I was just like, this is odd because I wasn't sure if it was for
I don't know if any, don't come for me, anybody out there, but I don't really listen to Drake.
Yeah, I mean, I only really listen to his old music if a throwback comes on, you
know?
That
like Drake, I like, you know those artists that you listen to them and it feels nostalgic?
Yeah.
That's Drake for me. Because
yeah,
when I was in high school, I'd listen to him, but I don't listen to him anymore. So like if I hear one of his old songs, I feel like I'm on my bus to school.
Right.
But other than that, I'm just like, my music taste has completely changed.
Yeah.
I'm definitely more of like indie pop girly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wish that I honestly like cared about my music more often because I feel like I need to create playlists.
Oh, I have so many.
Yeah, I play like old ones all the time and my friends get annoyed. Boots.
They can deal with it.
Right.
And tell them to deal with the nostalgia.
Like literally. There's nothing wrong with some 90s R&B. Like
I love 90s R&B.
You do?
Yeah, I love the 90s.
Oh, period.
I love the fashion too. I actually just saw a video the other day and it was like a millennial talking about how they were like, why does all of Gen Z dress up like they just left the what is it, the food court at the mall in the 90s? And I was like, that is so messed up. Like, you did not just read us like that, you weirdos.
No, for real.
At least we're not in our 30s and balding.
That part. We should be able to
Sorry
wear what
for anybody
we want.
here who's in their 30s and balding.
Let's get into today's topic. Body shaming. I thought it would be important to bring it up just because as we're getting older and as our generation is gaining wisdom, I feel like body image is evolving in a way where there's toxic sides of it, there's more accepting parts of it. And I think it's just like a topic that is kind of hard to talk about, but I'm willing to talk about it.
I'm also willing to talk about it.
Yeah.
I have a lot to say about it too, because
right.
I've dealt with my fair share of body image problems.
Me as well. And I think a big part of it plays into like being online as well, because you're having to constantly watch yourself.
I also feel like, at least for me, I feel like a big part of, I guess, my body image issues, definitely, I'm not blaming a specific group, but they're definitely like, there are gay men that hold bodies to a specific standard.
Yeah. Within the gay community, it's very like judgy if I don't know, with the dating apps. There's literally in Grindr.
Yeah.
There is a lot of standards for guys to just be like high in physique.
Yeah, like you have to, body fat,
Yeah.
like big muscles, this and the third. And I feel
their
like that's
standard, but it's also like
not like
Yeah.
everybody. Like, don't get me wrong, if you have a body like that, good for you. But I don't
Yeah.
think that's like everybody doesn't have that. Like, it's not like
Exactly.
a natural body, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Where did you kind of start developing body image issues or self-awareness of it?
I didn't really know I had body image issues until I went to therapy.
Oh, okay.
Because I actually went to therapy because I had been diagnosed with OCD.
Okay.
Well, not diagnosed at the time, but my biology teacher in high school kept telling me, like, Spencer, I see you check your bag when you get into class, 15 minutes before the bell rings to leave.
Yeah.
And then when the bell rings, you check your bag again.
Yeah.
I have OCD, and I'm not telling you that you have it, but I recommend you, like, get checked for it. And I, like, put it past me, and I was like, I don't have that. And then one day I was going on my school bus, and I used to do this thing where I would, like, check things. And if I didn't, I would just convince myself, or my brain would convince itself that something terrible would happen to my family.
Oh my God.
And I forgot to, like, check the doorknob, like the front and back door 8 times. And I, like, convinced myself that people in my family were going to die. And I sobbed on the way to school. And I ended up going to my guidance counselor, who then was like, hey, I'm going to call your mom and recommend a therapist. And it's when I went to my therapist that, like, we had just been, like, talking about, like, my overall mental health. And then after, like, a few visits with her, she ended up mentioning, like, how much weight it looked like I was losing in, like, such a rapid amount of time.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh. And she told me that a lot of the times people who have OCD and they get into, like, dieting take it to the extreme.
Yeah.
Because it becomes, like, a hyperfixation for them with their OCD.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't until then that I, like, noticed, like, oh my gosh, like, I have an eating disorder. I'm not eating.
Yeah.
Why am I not eating?
Well, I think a lot of people struggle with that in a way where they're focusing on so much else that's going on in their lives that sometimes it's not even intentional, but you just, for situations like people who have OCD, and I don't know if you can relate to this, tell me if I'm wrong, but you focus so hard on other things that you could just forget to eat.
I even feel like,
which I'm personally struggling with now. Like, I feel like I'm under, like, a high stress kind of lifestyle where I have to constantly be on time every day with something.
Yeah.
And it's like priority is getting my something done, but I should be caring about what's going in my body, you know?
Yeah, I think the issue that, I guess, like, the whole issue for me was when I wasn't diagnosed with OCD. At that time, I did start going to the gym. I used to, like, run to the gym, and then I would run on a treadmill for an hour and then run home. And I was losing weight quickly. And it didn't really click in my brain that, like, oh, I haven't really been eating.
Yeah.
I had, like, a calorie counter, which is, like, the worst mistake I could have made.
Yeah.
Because in my brain, I was like, oh, well, it says if I want to lose 2 pounds a week, I should only be eating, like, 1,700 or 1,800 calories. Why don't I only eat less than 1,500? And I didn't really think that was an issue.
Yeah.
And again, because I had undiagnosed OCD, my brain was like, we have to stay under 1,500. If we go over 1,500, it's like something bad's going to happen. Like, your body's just going to, like, go back to the way it was. And I feel like a lot of, like, kids that grew up heavier, like I was, as, like, people would call, like, a fat kid. A lot of fat kids can attest to this. Like, once you start losing weight and you notice how, like, people treat you differently,
Yeah.
and you notice, like, how much better and more confident you feel.
Yeah.
I feel like there's always this constant nagging fear in the back of your head of, like, I never want to look like that again, but what if I do?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's just like,
And it evoke, like, old feelings for you.
yeah, where it's like you're not as confident. You
Yeah.
feel, like, down, and you kind of, like, beat yourself up in a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think that you still have those issues today with at least, like, body fluctuating? Because I think a common thing is that people don't know that bodies fluctuate, and that you don't just stay a certain weight, especially with dieting culture. Like, I feel like people will lose all this weight and then think it's going to be like that forever, and then
They get off the diet.
Exactly.
And then they gain the weight. I feel now, at least, I have a nutritionist.
Nice.
And
you were telling me about that. Yeah.
He gave me a workout routine. He gave me like things I can eat. And the one thing he kept mentioning to me is like, Spencer, if you are still hungry at the end of the day, don't look at the calories. Just like make sure like you eat protein or vegetables, something healthy. Like don't eat foods that are unhealthy. And that's kind of something that's always like now like sticks in my head a lot, which is nice. Like when I'm hungry, it's kind of helped me in a way where it's like when I'm hungry, I eat and I make sure what I'm eating is good for me, rather than like opening a family-sized bag of Doritos and eating half of it in one sitting, you know?
No, yeah.
Whereas like
I have
now
horrible eating habits like that where like I will just binge everything.
I feel like that's also because you did mention how like you are in like a high stress environment right now.
Yeah.
So it's like when you forget to eat and the only thing you have around is like a bag of chips, you're gonna like
absolutely
guzzle everything
compensate it
down.
for what was today. Yeah. No, I definitely relate on the shaming issue. Dive a little deeper into that. Was the people around you bullying you for that reason of your weight, or was it like...
I don't think I was ever... Well, I was bullied in like middle school for my weight.
Oh, okay.
And that never really...
Were you the type to let it affect you, or how did you respond to that? Were you more so like defensive or like...
I think because I was bullied, because I was a bigger kid, my brain immediately was like, if you're going to make fun of me, I'm making fun of myself. So it's like, that's what got me into like
deep humor,
and like being funny.
Right.
And I never really had people like me at that time, at least for my looks. It was always like my personality that stood out the most.
Same.
So that's kind of like my personality compensated for the way that like I looked, I suppose.
Yeah.
But then I got into high school, and that's kind of when I noticed a lot of people that I was friends with were getting into relationships, or like they started dating people, and I would like see the guys they were dating. And in high school, I did have gay friends.
Yeah.
My high school was like very open. We had a GSA club, and I would see the people they were dating, and I would be like, oh my gosh, like in my head at least, it was like, it's because you both are like muscular and thin, and like if I want a boyfriend, I need to look like that. And I remember I had like just lost a little bit of weight, and I ended up going on my first date, and then the guy ghosted me. And I convinced myself it was because I was fat that he ghosted me. So I started losing all this weight. And again, I didn't know I had an eating disorder. It was more so like, oh, I'll do anything I can. But then it's like when you're told you have an eating disorder, and then you're told the habits that coincide with eating disorders, and then you're like, oh, I do this and this and this. You're like, oh, I do have an eating disorder.
It kind of starts adding up.
Yeah.
How is that like realization for you?
I mean,
was it hard to face, or was it more so like a, it makes sense kind of clicking moment?
It was very big, like denial. And I remember I didn't want to tell my mom about it for a really long time, because like and when you have a therapist, you have like the confidentiality, unless it's like dire.
Was it a school therapist, or was it a normal therapist?
It was like a full-on therapist. Like it was not my school therapist. So
you didn't have to deal with all that.
I like everything I told my therapist I knew was confidential, and she told me that the only time she would ever get my mom involved is if I told her that I would like either harm myself, harm others. I was suicidal. But it took me a while to... It wasn't that it was hard to process. It was more like I was in denial. Because in my head, I was like, no, like I had seen movies and TV shows of people who had eating disorders. And even when I was younger, I was like, oh, I would never do something like that.
Yeah. It's almost something that you like don't want to ever get to a point of being, because you feel it's like something that's so negative. I think that in itself is harmful thinking processes in general, because it's like, everybody has their issues. To say it's a negative thing, I feel like is wrong. I feel like it's something that is just a part of life.
I also think back on like the whole denial thing. I think I denied it mostly because I felt good. Like I was getting really thin. I was like dropping weight, and there's something that they call an ED high. Didn't know about that.
Really?
And it's when you have an eating disorder and you're like almost high off of it, but like not in like if you were to like smoke like a recreational substance high. It's like, oh my gosh, like I look so good, I feel so good, I'm on top of the world. And it wasn't until like I started having fainting spills and my hair started falling out like crazy that I was like, and that's when like I actually started taking my therapist seriously.
I was gonna ask, does that make you feel like, oh my gosh, all these things are happening, maybe I should make a change? Or is it like let me continue this because I feel so good and feel so having an arc of, you know, feeling my oats?
I feel like it got to a point where it was like I wouldn't even say in the beginning, like towards the middle, it felt so good. Which is like what's scary, because like you wouldn't think an ED would like feel good. Like you wouldn't think like, oh my gosh, I'm so confident now and this and the third, but you do. But it wasn't really, it was like middle towards like me losing like a lot of weight, where it was like bad that I was like, this isn't good anymore. Like that's when I started picking up on, like when I was like fainting or like losing hair, that's when I started thinking to myself like, oh, my therapist told me that this and this means you have an eating disorder. And I am doing all of those things. And at first it was like, no, like denial. But then it was like, wait a damn minute, like Spencer, get your shit together. Like clearly there's something wrong here. If you like stand up and then the room goes black and then you wake up on the ground.
Might just be not such a normal thing.
No. Waking up on the ground and not in your bed is not something I recommend. But yeah, it was kind of like, that was like the catalyst of like, oh,
well, thank you for your vulnerability with all of that.
Yeah, no problem. I'm open.
No, I'm honestly the opposite. I almost had like a scarcity complex when it came to food because I grew up with lack of food, if that makes sense. It's not like my mom starved me, but we just like, I didn't know how to cook at the time. Gotta be honest. And sometimes we would have to make some struggle meals.
Like you make do with what you have in the house.
And I did not know how to do that. And my mom was such a caterer. Like she loved to cook for us, and she would really just make with what she had. And so that kind of led me to have a mindset with food where I, whenever I felt I was providing it for myself, I felt like, oh my gosh, like, let me not waste this. But that turned into more so of let me like indulge in it.
Got it.
So that's where it kind of started with my binging, and I think that continued with like little things, like I would get a full fruit snack box and I would eat the whole thing in one sitting on my own, and yeah, I just would never listen to my body. I'm still struggling with that. Like I sometimes just, if my body isn't feeling good, I kind of think in a way where it's like, I'm going through so much that it doesn't have to do with eating. Why don't I have a nice time where I kind of look to food for that comfort? So that's definitely a struggle, but I don't know, I've been very conscious lately of what I put in my body because I recently had a surgery where my gallstones had to be removed. So it's called pancreatitis. I found out that it was very common for a lot of women in my family. But I honestly think it was from some of the hormone side effects that I was not listening to.
Oh, wow.
'Cause I don't know, like eating poorly with being on hormone therapy as a trans person, it is like there's a lot of side effects that lead to it, and just one of the side effects in general is that you just want to eat more. You get hungrier, so you have to like not listen to your body when you are overeating, or just want to eat out of boredom, because that just kind of leads to health issues, and I do believe that it was what led to it, but I could not confirm it. Like it's just what I can speculate.
So when you started taking estrogen, you got hungrier?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'd say that I've I took it at such a young age, so I feel like I don't know anything but that, but I assume because I've had these issues, you know, it's definitely one of the root causes from it. There's so many different things that could be kind of a determining factor of why it started, but I think hormones was definitely one of them, like the side effects.
I was gonna say, because I remember when Zaya first started her transition journey. I remember when she first started taking estrogen, that's like, she would call me and be like, I'm so hungry.
Right.
And she would just be eating.
Yeah.
And she was like, she was gaining weight and she kept telling me like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to gain the weight, this, that, and the third. And I was like, but you need to eat.
Exactly.
Because it's like, now what you're eating is being distributed to different parts of your body that weren't being distributed before.
Yeah. And what also is kind of weird is that it does also make you like gain weight easily. So that was also kind of in my mind when binging, that I would have like immediate body effects.
Yep.
And so I would go so long with not eating, and then at the end of the day I would feel guilty because I was like, why would I treat my body like that? So I would just binge it all, and I would kind of like compensate for the calories that I thought I needed that day or did need that day, or
that's what I did.
Really?
When at one point, this is when it was like getting really bad with my eating disorder. I would quite literally so like for lunch, my mom used to give me lunch money. And I remember my friends used to ask me all the time, like, Spencer, like, how have you been getting so much money? And I remember I told my mom at one point that like, oh, I do people's homework and that's why I have all these like all this money in my wallet. Okay. No, I was literally stashing the money from my mom that she would give me for lunch every week, and I would get like a bag of plantain chips that were like 50 cents from the vending machine, eat that, have that as my only meal. Oof. Then I would go to the gym, I would go home, would barely eat anything, and I remember like maybe a day or two would go by of me doing that, and then I would just binge. Like I would not be able to stop eating because it's like, oh my gosh, like I would eat so much that it would feel like I was gonna throw up. Yeah. And that was also another thing, like when I was like recovering from my eating disorder, I didn't know this, but when you have an eating disorder, your like stomach shrinks. So like you have to start off slow.
Yeah.
Because like if you eat too much, like you can throw up. And when I first started like going to my therapist, and
you went a little too ham when you were
I got like
recovery mode.
I was like I remember one night like I ate this like big plate of like, it was like vegan chicken nuggets and like sweet potato fries with like rice. Like I was just like, okay, we're eating. And I ate I felt so nauseous. I ended up going upstairs and I thought I was gonna throw up. And mom was like, Spencer, what's wrong? And I was like, I feel like I might have eaten too much. Yeah. So that was like another thing that was going on with recovery.
Yeah. Were you open with your mom or anybody about your issues, or did you kind of keep it to yourself?
I eventually like became like really open with my mom about it.
Oh, nice. That's always good.
And I think being open with her helped because I know she never meant to. Yeah. But like you know how like moms can be sometimes, where it's like
a little too blunt.
Yeah. Like I remember like my mom would get snacks for the house, and like I would eat, like if I was hungry I would like eat a whole bunch of them. Yeah. And then we run out, and then mom would be like, you're eating me out of house and home. And then it's like she would get snacks and then I don't eat them. And then she's like, Spencer, why aren't you eating? Right. Like you're losing weight. Like why aren't you eating? Yeah. And it like, I don't blame my mom for like my eating disorder. It was more so like that plus my eating disorder. It was like, oh my gosh, like mom, I love you, but like let me eat this damn food. Right. And then when I told her about it, all of it stopped. Like she'd be like, if you're hungry, I was just in New Jersey. Well, not just, but like I traveled home in April, and I remember my mom got me like all my favorite snacks. And whenever I was hungry, she was like, Spencer, like get whatever you want. She was like, if you're not hungry, just know it'll still be there. Like I got them just for you. I'm not gonna have any of it. Eat as much, or if you don't want any right now, don't eat any. And it was like really nice knowing that like my mom never meant what she was saying. It was just like her being a concerned mom.
Right.
And I think moms don't realize what they're saying sometimes. It's like...
We're also, there's like a lack of boundary. I don't know if you grew up with a father, but...
No,
I didn't either.
Oh, hey, girl. Fatherless.
Right.
Oh,
Are we going for a high five?
I was going for a high five.
Okay.
Let's do a high five and then, okay, high five. Yeah.
Right. Okay. But
Fatherless.
that led me to a best friend relationship with my mom. So she could be blunt. Let's just say that. Like, I love my mom's relationship that I have. I wouldn't take it for granted for anything because it's the reason I am the woman I am today. But yeah, it could lead us to being too mean to each other.
That's how I always say, like, when me and my mom were like chilling, we were chilling. And we were like besties. But like when we would get into arguments, like
it gets personal.
It gets like, it's like, I feel like it was less of like, I love my mom, but I felt like it was less of like, whenever we would argue, it wasn't like mom and son. It was like two friends arguing.
Absolutely.
And that's what made it like 10 times worse. Cause it was like, like in my brain when I was arguing with her, like I knew she was my mom, but like our entire relationship had just been us.
Yeah.
So it became very like comfortable in a sense of like I can tell you anything and like we have like a great relationship, but also when we argue, it's like I don't want to say I saw her as my equal because I knew like if I did certain things, I was gonna get like my ass beat. So like I would say for the most part I was a good kid, but like when we had like arguments, like we had arguments.
No, I definitely agree, and I feel like that is a single mom mentality thing because you know they have lack of another person giving them reassurance, so you are that person that is the reassurance, and that isn't always the role for the child. But you know that does lead to sticky situations and I think beautiful ones, you know.
I do too. I feel like my mom used to come home from work and like rant.
Right. Well, because obviously your mom would, I mean, she did that whole thing for you where she gave you that gift basket. Like, it shows that she cares.
Yeah.
And I honestly think it's really important for us to open up to our parents.
Oh, I do too.
If you aren't, I really recommend it because I feel like, I don't know, they're the people who guide you. They're the people who have your best interests, I hope.
I hope, yeah. And if, unfortunately, I know there are some people out there who probably don't have that kind of relationship with their parents.
Yeah.
I know like kids used to come to my mom and like vent to my mom about their problems.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like, honestly, if you even have a friend who like their parent is like this with you, like I remember there were certain things I didn't want to tell my mom, and I had a friend back home named Christine, and me and Christine's mom were like, and I would like talk to her about my boy problems. And Christine would talk to my mom because like when you like, I guess when you're in high school, I went through a phase where I was like, I don't want to tell my mom about like boy stuff. Right. So I would tell Christine's mom about the boy stuff. And then Christine would tell my mom about her boy stuff. Oh no. And it was just like, mom would be like, why don't you tell me like your like problems or like this and there? And I'm like, Mom, stop.
Exactly. No.
Meanwhile, I'm at some other one's house.
Yeah, hard for me to open up about body image with my mom because she put me in a school for my safety. That was, just to put it flat, it was in suburbia. Like, it was a very suburban area. And that led to me being one of the only minorities at school. And so that kind of like put me in the mindset of comparing myself to people who are unrealistic to my own body type, to my culture, to the way my body looks because of my culture, because of who I am, because of my race. I'm naturally thicker, and so that,
as you should,
work. I think that when I was looking around
and you saw like skinny white girls,
exactly, that's all I could compare myself to. And especially when it came to dating, like as you were saying, it's like
all these guys are dating these skinny white girls, so I have to look like that to get a boyfriend.
And it didn't just go into body image. It went to the way that I expressed myself, the way I talked, the way my hair was. But body image was one of the things that I just struggled with so much because it couldn't change it. And I feel like a lot of people had the desire for Eurocentric beauty in my school, and I just wasn't that, given I am mixed. So I do have some Eurocentric beauty, but to the people who were very close-minded, that was just something that wasn't appealing to them. And so I struggled with that in that sense because I always felt like I had to look like not my natural self, and not even in just a trans way, but like in a you way. Exactly. Like who I am as a person. But yeah, it was also like unrealistic in the media. I saw a lot of Black women get scrutinized for their body fluctuating or if they were too skinny. Like a lot of people came for Doja Cat when she lost a lot of weight, but she was like, this is just the way my body is. And I was in an unhealthy state at that point. And I think that, you know, at least seeing that now I understand it, but at a young age, I was trying to still learn wrong from right. And so, you know, I would see other people be so hypercritical of Black women, and I would be hypercritical of myself. And that definitely led to me also viewing how men view me in the media. And there was a big standard with the quote unquote BBL body.
Oh my gosh.
You know, that is my body naturally, but with some exceptions of, you know, an actual stomach. And, you know, like, I felt like there was such an unrealistic beauty of pulling from all these different ethnicities, races, cultures. And I felt like it was just so unrealistic for me. It was, and it just put me in a mindset where I felt impossible.
It's like you want to achieve the unachievable.
Exactly.
Which is like I feel like another catalyst that leads to EDs, where it's like not keeping your body in mind. And it's like you see, especially with like celebrities, even with us growing up, like I remember like the Kylie Jenner lip challenge. And everyone was like, Kylie's lips got so big, and I remember sucking on a shot glass to get these like huge lips. And it's like the lengths people will go to look a certain way is almost kind of scary.
There's a lot of lengths I went to as well, and I feel like a lot of the times I almost had like a mindset of like I have an advantage now because my body is being celebrated in the media, thick or not, from surgery or not. And it got me excited, and it really upsets me now that, you know, as toxic as it was, it did celebrate Black women's bodies. And now that the standard is getting more too skinny again, as, you know, beauty does kind of come in cycles.
It goes here then there.
Because more so in the 90s, the popular thing was supermodels being the most desirable in the definition of beauty. And at the time, it was more so just skinny. And so when that came around, I was like, oh my gosh, like we're finally being, like, thick women are finally being appreciated in the media. But then kind of going back to it, it just became skinny again. But I definitely think that is a testament that like we should not listen to trends as, you know, definitions of beauty for our body. I think that's where a part to uniqueness plays, that your body is beautiful no matter the state it is, no matter if it's fluctuating. I don't know. And I've always had the motto that like I will rock something no matter what body weight I'm at. And it's been kind of hard to do that in front of the camera.
I will say I still struggle with that. Like when my weight fluctuates higher, I still feel like I always like to say you can recover from an ED, but there's always like a part of it, like at least for me, that like kind of just stuck with me. And that's like the confidence thing. Like, yes, I eat correctly now, but the one mindset that I still have, unfortunately, is like if I see my weight go up, it's like I'm a little less confident than I was when I weighed 1 less pound on the scale.
Right.
Which
and
is
it doesn't
like,
help that like compliments are based a lot off just self-appearance.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times people view weight loss as positive and a good thing when it could not always be that.
It's not always a good thing.
It can be the exact opposite, where weight gain is a good thing, and that just messes with your brain of like, oh, should I be continuing this cycle of this detrimental things I'm putting through my body?
Also,
or
the way you're treated.
Exactly.
I can 100% attest to the fact that when I had my like ED and like when I was like losing a lot of weight, I was getting compliments left and right, like, oh my gosh, Spencer, you look so much better.
Because it's
that's
what others want to achieve.
It's like, you say I look better, but I'm not better. Like, I'm the unhealthiest I've been in the longest time.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, even if it isn't a positive outcome, how does your body image look like now? Is it better? Is it worse? And also, you don't have to open up to as much as you don't want to, but of course.
No, yeah, I would love to tell you and everyone. I feel it's constantly like changing. I have my good days, I have my bad days. I'm not gonna lie. I will say it is a lot better than it was. I had like a full body surgery, and they removed all of my loose skin, and that definitely helped with my confidence. And that also has been helping me, especially with going to the gym. And I think it's been helping me a lot because previously, when I would go to the gym before my body surgery, because of my loose skin, I had so much of it, I couldn't see the progress I was making. And now when I go to the gym, I see the progress that I'm still making. And on top of that, with the amount of food that I'm now eating regularly, that is good for me, seeing that progress while still eating is like, it's kind of, I'm still relearning, obviously, every day. There are like moments where I'm like, oh, should I eat this? And it's like, hell yeah, you're hungry. But I feel like it's definitely still something I'm learning about and trying to unlearn when it comes to like the ED side of everything.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm the exact same way. I feel like I viewed going to the gym for so many different reasons when I used to go versus now. It makes me feel good. And it changes the way I look at my day. It brings less negativity into my life. It makes me feel just good endorphins.
It makes me feel like more productive. Like I was like, I'm on a roll.
Right, exactly. And I'm so glad I can view it that way now, because I used to view it in a way where I just felt like
I have to go to look a certain way.
Exactly. But now I go for myself inside, not on just the outside. So that's amazing. And I feel like the way I view food, I mean, as moving is not an easy thing to do.
No.
You've settled into your place pretty nicely, but
I was here. Oh, you were in my apartment the first week I moved in, and I had my mattress on the floor.
Exactly.
Like us sitting in my room eating DoorDash with my mattress on the floor.
Exactly. And
there's
it's easy
no
to
furniture.
get into that habit every single day of like ordering a DoorDash or eating top ramen or you know, like it's just like it gets to a point where you have to view, like you have to look at yourself and be like, okay, it's time to take control of what I'm eating and actually put forth the effort to learn how to cook things, to learn what I like, and to learn portion control, especially for my case. And so I think it's definitely changed for the positive, but it's forever evolving. And, you know, it's never easy, but it's never impossible either.
What are some ways you feel like when you have those bad days, like what are ways you think you like overcome those like negative thoughts, or do you overcome them?
A lot of the times I will sit with those thoughts and sort of be in a negative mindset, and I honestly just feel it. And I think that leads to accepting my body for what it is. And that also leads to just self-acceptance. And I also surround myself with people who look like me. So, you know, whether that's Black woman, Black trans woman, I surround myself with people like that so I don't get into a mindset where I'm comparing myself. And I did that over the years, but now obviously like I had to get into the point where I was like, okay, you can't let other people's literal existence affect how you look at yourself.
Right.
So now that I have gone through that self-acceptance and knowing that there are people like me and my body is like this because of just naturalness. I don't know. Just the way I am, it helped me gain acceptance with myself.
That's amazing.
Yeah. How about you?
I feel like there are days where I have those kinds of thoughts, but I've kind of just learned that every day, again, is like just not really a battle, but like a learning experience for me.
Yeah.
And there are days where I'm like, oh, why do I feel this way? Like, what caused me to like feel this way about my body? Because 2 minutes ago, I didn't feel that way. And one of those things, I remember like for a week, just to like test it out, I just stopped weighing myself on the scale.
Period.
And I'm not even lying when I tell you I lost more weight without stepping on the scale than I had with like checking every day.
Yeah.
And it's because when I would step on the scale every single morning to check my weight, it became like, oh, I gained more weight. So like, let me try to lose all the weight I gained in a day. And that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
If you don't look at the scale and you're not thinking like, oh my gosh, I gained this much weight, or oh my gosh, like now I'm this, that, and the third. It's like you listen to your body like, oh, I'm hungry, let me just eat.
Absolutely.
Rather than like starving yourself and then binging. It just like, it's like a cycle.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've personally had to learn how to end that cycle for myself at least.
Do you have advice for anybody that is trying to get out of a cycle?
I'm not joking. Like in 100 years from now, when we're all dead in the ground, like how do you want to have lived your life? I mean this in the most loving way possible. How do you want to have lived your life? Starving yourself to like fit a beauty standard that might not even apply to like your body type? Or do you want to like go about your life knowing like, oh, when I was hungry, I ate, I rocked it. Yeah, I had a little chub, but everybody does.
Right.
Everybody, like literally everybody, I'm not joking, has chub somewhere.
Yeah.
Everybody does.
No,
It's
I
and
totally
the supermodels
agree.
you see on billboards, magazines, television. I'm not like, they either have physical trainers, like even in the Marvel movies, Jesus Christ, they're on strict diets with physical trainers.
Yeah.
Like the bodies that you look at and compare yourself to are not the average body. Like those are people that either like put in a lot of work to get there, to like get that role, to get that modeling gig, or they're people who have been like touched up by Photoshop.
Absolutely.
Like
there's so many people who are just not what they look like online, and it shifts beauty standards for
like, girl, we saw
everybody.
the curve in the fence. We saw the curve in the fence on your Instagram post. I saw it.
Right, but
I
it's
saw
like
water rippling in two directions.
yeah, and these beauty standards aren't even possible for ourselves,
Right.
Because it's like, obviously if you feel like you have to have the pressure to look a certain way, it just isn't possible. And yeah, I'd honestly say the exact same thing, where it's just like, I don't know, for me it's a mindset, and I think it's passed down. I personally had like body dysmorphia. My grandma did, my mom did, and I think that it's passed down in a mindset. But when you look back at photos, every single time, tell me you did not think that what you were feeling at the time was stupid.
Right. Like if you look at a photo, it's like, were you happy in that photo? That's what matters.
No, and I used to view my body as such a different thing. And then I look back at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I was being so stupid. I was being just so hypercritical of how it looked. And I was skinnier at the time, and I was a child. Also, to not like view your child body as your body that is as an adult.
It's like developed. Yeah.
Because you're developing every single day. We get older, and with age comes weight. And I feel like we need to accept that. And I feel like realizing that internally within is gonna fix so much.
Also, don't get down on yourself if you have negative thoughts, because I guarantee everybody has them.
Yeah.
Ask anybody. Walk up to someone and be like, oh, are you like insecure in any way, shape, or form? Someone's going to tell you, even if it's like not a physical feature.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I guarantee someone will be like, oh, like, I don't like my hairline, or I don't like this on my body or that on my body. Nobody's perfect. And I think that is what is so perfect.
Absolutely.
The people that are, again, like touched up, edited in Photoshop, like that is setting an unrealistic standard that no one can reach.
Right.
Like, love, I'm not even call them your flaws, because they're not flaws.
Yeah.
Like, just love yourself and your features, because they are yours. And no one else has them.
For sure. I think so many people also, the things that you're insecure about are some of the things that people find the most beautiful about you. And so I feel like, in a way, you just have to view yourself out of body.
Yep.
And once you can do that, you can realize that it isn't so serious. This game that we're going to play is called The Good, Bad, and Fabulous. Ooh. So we're going to hear a topic. They're going to just name one out. Tell me whatever you think a good, bad, and fabulous thing is about X topic.
Okay.
Yeah. First topic is running late for everything.
I'm usually not a late person, but usually I feel like with like certain events, the party doesn't really get started until like later, because like everyone is showing up at the same time. Yeah. And in my head, it's like once you get there, it's kind of like the vibes need to like build up to it's having a, like we're all having a good time. Yeah. So that's a good thing about it, like being late. A bad thing about it is if you're late to everything, that means you'd probably be late to like a wedding or like certain special events. Yeah. And that I don't really think is something you want to be late to. Right. I also feel like special events, it kind of just shows that like you, at least maybe not for yourself, you might not think this way, but definitely for the person you're missing out on, that you don't prioritize them in your life.
Absolutely.
So like
I think it shows respect for sure.
Take that into account. And then the fabulous is usually if you're running late, it's because you were doing your hair, your makeup, figuring out your outfit. Yeah. And typically people who run late are really hot and sexy and beautiful. Absolutely.
I agree. The good would definitely be like, I'm fashionably late. Like, it was for a reason. A bad would definitely be disrespecting people's time. It just shows where your intentions lie, how you value the person, or how you value, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all people who are, respecting each other. Yeah, exactly. And then a fabulous would be, I totally agree with that one. I think just looking good. Feeling fabulous. I love all of that. And I feel like that kind of roots out of the little finishing touches that you decided to make last minute sometimes.
Yeah, and like that kind of those last minute touches usually like throw everything together.
Right. High heels.
Okay, the good. They look good on me, and my calves look amazing. The bad, my feet are numb by the end of the night, and I would rather hack off my freaking leg than ever have to put them back on again.
No, literally.
And then the fabulous, I look good.
Right.
Like,
I feel like it's the same for the running late.
Like come on now. Like, I look good.
No, literally. I feel like good would be the way they make me feel confident.
Okay.
Bad would be the downslope of that.
Yeah.
Because I'm feeling all confident and then the pain rolls in.
Yeah.
And then I feel like, oh my God, everything in the world is ending, but I still look fabulous. And I think that's what would end it on the fabulous. I still look fabulous.
I'm gonna
even
change
if I
my
am
answer
in
to what
pain,
you just said.
Pain is beauty. Like
I'm taking that answer.
Right.
I'm taking that. Yeah.
Northwest.
The good. The good I would say is I feel, especially like with the way Kim is raising her, she's growing up again. Like, Kim has made it a point, and she said it before in interviews, that like she doesn't want to raise North to have any ill intent towards her father, even
Yeah.
after everything he's like done.
Yeah.
And I think that's good that like she's been raised in that type of way.
Yeah.
The bad, I would say her father. And then the fabulous is even just seeing her on TikTok and like how happy she is.
Absolutely.
And just like the way she like goes about her life. I love that.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that for her. I bet you like I bet you, but like
Yeah.
what I would give to have been born Kim
Right.
or
No.
North.
Exactly. No, I feel like good would definitely be the way she raises North is like turning off the comments on everything. I think that is such a smart thing because she doesn't have to look at the outside
Negative.
opinion.
Yeah.
Because this will get into my bad being somebody in the public eye that young and having everybody watch your every move leads people to be critical of your mistakes and blame you for things that you were just learning at the time. And you evolve, but it's never easy to evolve in front of the public eye. But fabulous would be that is how it is. And, you know, that's the card she was dealt with. And I think she's doing it great. I feel like she's so confident at 9 years old.
Also, I don't know.
Not to mention.
I don't know if anyone's like seen the videos of like her with her siblings and like her being around them, just like taking care of them, like having a good time.
Yeah.
She is such a good older sister.
She is.
She really is. So I wanted to add that in there too.
We aspire to be you. We love you, North. Spring cleaning.
The good, I would say, I like personally, I love being clean. I don't even have like a spring cleaning if I'm being honest. Like every single Sunday is like my cleaning day. So like I'm constantly like deep cleaning my like bathroom and like everything.
No, I remember when I was looking for apartments, I was like, if I were to stay with you, you're like, you have to be clean.
Yeah. I'm just like, that's like a big thing about me. Like I'm very clean.
Yeah. It's good for your mindset.
Mm-hmm. And then a bad is like being really clean. Like if I see something dirty, it's like my brain is like, oh, like we have to fix this now.
It's the OCD kicking in.
Yep. And then the fabulous. Every time someone has ever come to my apartment, they say, even if I think it's dirty, they're like, wow, your apartment's so clean and tidy. And I'm like,
yeah. Isn't that the best feeling?
Yeah.
Good for me would be that it really helps my mental health and just
agree.
how I view everything. Because when I go home to a clean place or I am just living in it, it feels so organized and it feels like I can get my shit done.
Mm-hmm.
But when I guess it would be my bad. When it's not clean, I just feel so depressed. I feel like it's the only thing that will like block me from making good moves in my life. And I feel like it's like, I don't know, a great starting point to your mental health being on an upward slope is to have a clean place, is clean and cleanliness. So.
Yeah.
And fabulous would be that feeling. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm gonna have to go with you on that one. That it just feels so good when somebody compliments you. Like it's the best compliment because you work so hard on the place.
Yeah, you're like, ooh, you're like, it's clean and tidy, isn't it?
No, that's especially like if you're getting it together and like just moving in. It's like the best feeling. Like, oh, you've been really like getting this place together. I'm like, yeah, I did.
You know my favorite thing.
Confident.
You're gonna love this when you start adding new additions in your apartment and people come and notice them and they're like, oh, this looks so good. You're gonna be like.
No, I already
You're gonna be like, you want to make
feeling.
out or something,
right?
Like,
so does this mean we're having kids, or does this mean that you're my husband?
Stop hitting on me.
Oh my god,
please.
Thank you. People who only follow one person.
I mean, like, I guess I feel like a lot of the times, like, for example, I know Taylor Swift recently just started following like nobody. Yeah. But I feel like that's like almost like Taylor's like resetting, almost like it's like a new era. So I feel like it's like a nice little reset. I guess like the bad isn't really a bad about them, but like a lot of the times, at least for me, I've heard people say like, oh, I hate when people have a whole bunch of followers and they follow no one. Like that's so pretentious or stuck up.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that.
I do.
You do?
Yeah. But good to your fabulous.
Okay. My fabulous is I feel like if you don't follow anybody, then you don't see anything on like your For You, not your For You, but like your following feed. And I also feel like it's really easy, at least for me, to compare myself to other influencers and be like, oh my gosh, they're doing really well and I'm not. What am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
But if I followed nobody, I don't really think I'd have that problem.
I didn't look at that perspective. Yeah, I guess a good for me would be just the boundaries you set for people. And I like that when you're following just a small amount of people, that it shows who you really care about. But, and I guess a bad would be, I really feel like when you don't give all your love to the other people around you, and that can be a lot of people because we come from so many different avenues, it's selfish. I wish we could just like appreciate each other.
Yeah.
But sometimes I definitely think, and this would be my fabulous, it is a great way for you to, or a great way for you to clear your mind is to not have people who maybe have a bad influence on you or put you in a negative mindset. So maybe that person brings or evokes a feeling in you, and you know that equivalates in a follow. So you know. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to another fabulous episode for Don't Ask V That. Thank you so much, Spencer, for being so vulnerable today and being here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Is there anything you want to promote, and where can I find you?
Okay, well, if you guys didn't know, I also have my own podcast called
Really?
I'm Literally Screaming.
Oh my gosh.
You could check it out on the same YouTube channel. It's on all streaming platforms. Comes out every Thursday. And then you can find me on all social media at Spencewuah. That's SPENCEWUAH, except for Snapchat because someone stole my username.
Oh my god.
So it's Spencewuah with an M in the middle.
That's smart. I like that.
Thank you.
Period. You can find me on Instagram, VEONDREMITCHELL, and TikTok, VeAndre. And Snapchat, I guess VeAndre M, but you know, those are for my exclusive baddies, okay? Ooh. I have a whole different thing on Snapchat. Anyways, make sure to come back to next week's episode, and don't forget to follow, rate, and review Don't Ask V That wherever you listen to your podcast, and subscribe to the Past Your Bedtime YouTube channel. Full visual videos will be on the Past Your Bedtime YouTube channel, and we'll see you next week. I love you, dollies. Bye.
Mwah.